Hey, Jay Carper here from American Torah, and I'm still reading in Matthew chapter 24, starting in verse 32. I'm just going to read to the end of the chapter. Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the door. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master made ruler over his household to give them food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Assuredly, I say to you, that he will make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him, and at an hour that he is not aware of, and will cut him in two, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. There, as with the rest of this whole chapter, there's a lot of things in here to talk about, and I want to focus on the main points. First, there's the parable of the fig tree, and Yeshua had just got through talking about the coming of the Son of Man and the Great Tribulation, and he says that just as you can tell when summer is coming because the fig tree puts out its leaves, you can tell when the Son of Man is coming because the tribulation comes first. I think this puts to rest any arguments about pre-trib rapture versus post-trib. He says that the tribulation itself is the sign that the Son of Man is coming, not that he has already come. And, well, we'll get to the rapture thing here in a bit. So there's a gradual transition from spring into summer. The fig tree doesn't put out its leaves all at once. Just like the day doesn't immediately transform from day to night or night to day. There's a gradual transition through twilight. It's a little bit windy out here. I hope it doesn't blow over my camera. Sorry about the shaking. So there's a gradual transition, and you can see the signs. You can see the sun begin to set and the light get dimmer. So you know that night is coming. You know that daylight's coming because it gets lighter. You know that the Son of Man, that Yeshua, is returning because all of these things that he promised, all this tribulation, comes first. So then he says, this generation will not pass away until all this comes to be. Well, what generation is that? Is that the generation alive when he's speaking? Does that mean the line of descendants of those people or somebody? I think he means this generation, when that tribulation happens, will not pass away until the Son of Man comes. And in fact, it seems to be that it will be immediately after the tribulation that the Son of Man comes, based on his earlier statements. But in any case, I think the point here is that there's a season. There's not a specific moment in time that you can pinpoint and say, here's where he's coming. And if anybody says that to you, if anybody says it'll be on this day, or even this month or this year, I would not believe that. They might be totally convinced in their minds that this is true, but I really think they're just blowing smoke. They're deceiving themselves. Yeshua says over and over through this passage that you're not going to expect it. You can know the season. You can know when it's getting closer. But you can't know the day, the hour. You probably can't know the month or the year. And I know that some people will point to Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, and say, this, the trumpet is what announces the coming of the Messiah. And the Feast of Trumpets, if you're following a literal new moon, oh man, wind is really picking up here. I gotta set my Bible down. Sorry about that. If you're following the literal new moon for the start of months, then yeah, you can't know exactly when the new moon and therefore the day of trumpets is coming until you actually see the new moon. Now, I like the poetry, the prophetic symbolism of that. I don't think that that's accurate, because essentially you can know that day through astronomical calculations. You can pretty much pinpoint when the new moon should be visible. Now, maybe because of cloud cover or humidity or something, it might not be totally visible to the human eye until the next day. But still, I mean, really, within 24-hour period, you can pinpoint just by math when the new moon should be visible in any location on Earth. So I really don't think that that's what he means. I think he means that you really don't know. You don't know when he's coming. You can know the season, but not the day. And by season, I don't mean season of the year. That was just a metaphor. The fig tree is a metaphor. I mean that you probably won't know what year. Even the tribulation doesn't start suddenly. It gradually builds up. So I don't think anybody can pinpoint the beginning of the tribulation, let alone when Yeshua is coming back. He says that it'll be just like the days of Noah, when everybody's just going about their business as if life will continue forever. People will be working in the fields, sleeping at night, just like they always do. If you knew that Yeshua was coming back within a 2 or 3 day period, would you be going to work? Would you be doing your business like usual? I doubt it. So I don't think that we can pinpoint it to that precisely. And I think that's really what Yeshua is saying here. None of this is about date setting. It's about giving you the signs to watch for that you know it's coming close. Not that you can say it's this year or this month or this day. Next, I want to talk about the 2 men and the 2 women. 2 men will be in a field and one will be taken and the other left. This is where proponents of the rapture go to say, this is clearly talking about the rapture. One will be taken up in the clouds and one will be left. And, obviously 1 Thessalonians 4 and passage in Corinthians that kind of supports that. But it's also possible that this is talking about some kind of calamity. And this is how most Christian teachers, most Bible scholars have interpreted this verse throughout all of Christian history. He wasn't talking about a rapture, he was talking about war, disaster. The Romans are coming and they're going to sack Jerusalem and they're going to kill one person or take them into captivity and leave the other one behind. And that's exactly what happened in 70 AD. Now, obviously to me anyways, the events of 70 AD don't completely fulfill all of what Yeshua is talking about here. So that's one of those echoes of prophecy that I've talked about in previous videos. You can go back and look at my videos on Matthew to see more of that. I don't know exactly what's happening here, but I lean towards the calamity explanation, that the one who is taken away, this is a bad thing, not a good one. You don't want to be the person taken away. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, fantastic. I will be very pleasantly surprised. That will be awesome. But then Yeshua starts talking about, this unfaithful servant that wasn't watching, who wasn't waiting. Just because you're going to be surprised by the exact time doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare. Exactly the opposite. Yeshua says you should always be prepared. Paul said, be prepared in season and out of season. You need to know what these signs are so you can watch for them. But just because you don't see the signs today doesn't mean you shouldn't be preparing today. You should be preparing every day of your life, working out your salvation with fear and trembling. And one of the most important ways that we prepare is by making disciples. And that's what this master was not doing. He was abusing the people of the master. I think I said what this master was not doing. I meant what this servant was not doing. He was abusing his master's other servants rather than building them up and training them and teaching them to watch for the coming of the master too. He should have been making himself a better servant every day, being a better disciple, learning to live as the master lives, learning the master's character, so that when he comes, he will be proud of you, and teaching other servants to be the same, because that is probably the most important role any of us have, is to make disciples of other people. We need to be going around making copies of Yeshua everywhere. We should be making ourselves a copy and helping everybody else become a copy. When Yeshua comes back, he should find a church or a synagogue or whatever word you want to use, full of little Yeshuas, little Jesuses. So if you want to watch for the signs, do that. And he says you should. Be prepared. Know when the season is coming. But don't believe people who are setting dates, setting years. And be busy being a disciple and making disciples. This is Jay Carper from American Torah. Be blessed.